Okay, starting recording.
Hi and welcome to Birds of Geek, episode 10. As usual, I'm Amy and with me is the beautiful Barry.
I am beautiful. Am I beautiful? Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. And the awesome Anthony.
I am not awesome.
Or beautiful.
He is beautiful, but anyway.
Yeah,
I'm just shaking my head.
Potato.
Yeah. Right, and so today we've got a couple of books to talk about because it's where we all look at separate things. And Ant, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can do. I wasn't intending on starting.
I'm sorry.
So,
I can start if it makes.
Okay, Barry starts.
Okay, so before I start, I'd like to say today's sponsor for this review is Zero Sugar Vanilla Coke.
Yay!
It's not really. That would
Oh.
make out like I was getting paid loads of money. I could quit my job, but that's not going to happen.
But vanilla Coke is the best Coke.
Not zero
No.
sugar, which is what I didn't realise.
No, see, I like the zero sugar.
yeah, but you're
I-
weird.
I miss the Diet Coke and vanilla that they used to do.
I don't.
I do.
No, I don't.
Anywho, none of that has anything to do about comics. So,
Or does it?
no, it doesn't.
Oh,
And I do the jokes. Do you know what I mean?
do you?
You need to read the fine print on your contract, mate.
Oh, sorry.
There's contracts.
There's contracts. I'll PDF them. I'll send them around. Don't worry. Anyway, yeah. So, so this weekend, if we get our editing skates on, this weekend was the Thought Bubble Comic Festival, of which Ant and I will be attending. Table 118 Comixology Hall. So the reason I want to say this is this comic that I'm going to talk about is launching this weekend. Also, I've actually just reviewed this on the website, but because this was the thing I've read recently, and I really wanted to talk about it because I believe, I don't know why, but I believe this series isn't getting enough love out there. So I'm not having that. Not on my watch. God damn it. So the series is called MULP, which is from Improper Books, and it's by Matt Gibbs, Sara Dunkerton, and so I'll start again. Matt Gibbs is the writer, Sara Dunkerton, who's the artist, and Jim Campbell, who does the letters. Would you like me to read the blurb?
Yes, please.
Okay, then I shall. MULP is an alpha. I hate this term because I can't say it properly. MULP is an anthropomorphic comic book. Is that right?
Yeah.
Comic book with animals. Boom. In this case, mice. A pulp adventure set in the world of mice. I should have just waited. By Matt Gibbs, Sara Dunkerton, and Jim Campbell. I really should have just waited. The Sceptre of Sun follows the exploits of Jack Redpath and Vicky Jones as they attempt to unravel a mystery surrounding an ancient stone tablet on Earth during an archaeological excavation in Egypt. This tablet is the first marker on an adventure that sees them racing around the world in search of a legendary treasure. Joined by their friends Cornelius Field. It's a cool name. Professor Walter Harvey Scott and his daughter Elizabeth Harvey Scott. Together they must prevent a powerful artifact from falling into unscrupulous paws. I love the fact that it says unscrupulous paws, which is why I've said it again.
So what kind of paws have they got?
Unscrupulous paws.
Unscrupulous paws.
Unscrupulous paws.
You want to watch out for them paws.
Yeah, not just grubby paws, unscrupulous paws, people. So this comic actually started, I think, 5 years ago, I believe. And I reviewed it on Geek Syndicate. I think I reviewed it on the podcast actually. And I loved it. I've loved this comic series. It's, basically it's Indiana Jones crossed with the Mummy with mice. However, it's done in a way so it's not just a rip-off of Indiana Jones mixed with the Mummy.
Because it's got mice.
No, not just because it's got mice, but I'm glad you said that. Because Matt Gibbs back in the day was a field archaeologist, and bringing that sensibility to the comic has made so much of a difference to this series compared to so many other pulp adventure be it comics, films, books that I've read, and I have read many of them. And the one thing that they tend to do, a lot of them, is dumb down that side of it.
So it's sort of really authentic on the archaeology front.
Yeah. But this is going to sound really disrespectful, but it's really authentic, but without being boring.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean.
Because like anything like that is a bit of a fine line you got to tread. And for me, if I wanted to sum up how this comic series kind of tackles that side of things, there's a scene. It's one of my favourite scenes in the entire Indiana Jones trilogy, even though it has no stunts or anything like that, where Indy explains what the Ark of the Covenant is.
Yeah.
It's the bit where the two sort of agents come to see him, and he sort of explains it, and he's drawing the Staff of Ra on the board and all that scene. I just think it's one of my favorite ever movie scenes, and that to me is what Matt has kind of captured with MULP, because he's able to do those sort of explanations and do them in a way so they're really exciting.
Yeah.
And you want to know more. And what I did, which is a thing I said in the review that I wanted to recommend people do. So obviously issue 5 I was sent this week, and it's being launched at Thought Bubble. But obviously I read issue 4 sometime last year. So before I started 5, I reread the first 4 issues. And what you realise when you're reading them all together is, this is a proper quest, but it's a proper quest where you need to actually pay attention to what's going on and what's been explained to you. It's not as simple as an A to B, go here, dig a hole, there you go, there's your scepter, happy days. There's a lot of work that goes into the route that they follow, even to the point that they find, I'm trying to remember now, they find like a tablet and there's loads of sort of writing and stuff like that. And then they meet these kind of ancient people, and they're talking in a particular dialect. And I was thinking to myself, I wonder if they've really thought that through, like as an actual language. Sure enough, when you get to the end of that issue, there's a whole kind of alphabet chart that lines up with the symbols. So you could take the time to go back through it and work out what they're actually saying.
So is it what when you say language, is it just one of those kind of like replacing letters for symbols type languages, or is it more than that?
To be fair, I didn't dive too deep into the actual alphabet thing. I just made a note because I wanted to get to issue 5. So I made a note that at some stage I want to come back to sort of properly read that part of it and sort of sit down and map it out. It's almost like a game in its own right,
Yeah. Remember they used to do that with DC Comics where you'd get the Kryptonian, wouldn't you? And you get the Kryptonian alphabet, and you could like do it through, but it was basically just A is this symbol and B is this symbol, and it would just be a different font effectively.
Yeah, I mean, knowing Matt, I think there's probably going to be a little bit more to it than that. But I've got to say, so obviously I've talked about the story, and it's fantastic. And like I said, if you like Indiana Jones, you like Raiders, you got to get on it. However, what I need to sort of talk about is Sara's art is just glorious throughout this. It kind of has that sort of did you ever read it's another anthropomorphic one.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, Granville. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, I have seen the art from it.
Yeah, it's up there with because the art in Granville, whether you've read it or not, the art is cracking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, to be fair, Granville's just a beautiful volume anyway. But...
Yeah. And I think this is what I want to see from MULP is because I don't read comics physically that much anymore. It takes a lot now, just space and all the rest of it. So I'm on the lookout for sort of special volumes to have in my house, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So
this is the sort of comic that I would kill to see, given that kind of Granville treatment, where it's lush, hardback, collects all 5 issues that I can sit proudly on my shelf and then just pull it off when I want to and have a read of it.
Sort of faux leather kind of.
Yeah. I would put a lot of money into that one, I have to say, because the art is so good in it. So yeah, MULP, Sceptre of the Sun in proper books. I'm not sure where their table is going to be, but it's all up on the Thought Bubble site. If you've read, obviously, if you've already been reading it, I don't need to sell it to you anymore. If you've never read it before, go and check it out. As I said, it's a fantastic comic series, and it's all ages, which is, I'm all about all ages at the moment. So
cool.
So
is issue 5 like the final one in the arc?
Yes. Sorry. No. This is the final one. It kind of wraps everything up. And what I'll say as well, it does wrap everything up, and what I liked about it might not work for everyone, but there's a real tonal shift at the end.
Okay.
So it's almost quite a somber ending. You're kind of expecting that whole riding off into the sunset thing, but it's a kind of like certain lessons need to be imparted to the heroes, and that kind of happens at the end. And I think it was quite surprising, but quite nice. I thought that they did that.
Cool.
Cool. Okay, am I okay to go next?
Yep, you feel free.
Awesome. So I went back because the Blade Runner 2019 trade's now out. So I went back to read the whole trade, because previously, episodes ago, I reviewed the first issue and said it would be something that I'd like to read the arc of. So I've gone back and read the first trade, which contains issues 1 to 4. I need to read the blurby bit, don't I?
Ideally.
Okay, so just if anyone who doesn't realise, there's a reason I don't read aloud on this, and that's because I'm dyslexic.
I can read the blurb if you want.
No, I shall do it.
Okay.
LAPD's best Blade Runner and detective, Ahana Ashina, has been assigned to investigate the mysterious disappearance of Isabel and Cleo Selwyn, the wife and daughter of the business tycoon Alexander Selwyn, a close personal friend of Eldon Tyrell. Ash's search will take her on a journey deep into the crime-ridden underbelly of Los Angeles, a slowly decaying megacity, as she uncovers a terrible secret and a desperate conspiracy that forces her to confront her own hatred for replicants, the synthetic humans that she hunts and kills with such vengeance. So this takes place in Los Angeles in 2019 in Blade Runner world. So it runs alongside what's going on in Blade Runner the film.
Right.
But other than seeing Eldon Tyrell, there is no, in my opinion, there is no crossover. It's very much a self-contained story from it. It's not prequel or anything that I can tell. People. So it's written by Michael Green and Mike Johnson. Art is by Andreas Guinaldo. Colours by Marco Lesko, and lettering by Jim Campbell. And it very much continues on from the first issue in terms of the style of the art. It's consistent. There's some pages which are beautiful, the way that the art and the colour represents, especially like the scenic landscapes. But then there's also quite a lot of panels which show the action happening really well. So the story is, I don't want to spoil what happens in it, but the story, it does have some fast, like paced, like actiony things as you would expect, but there is also a lot of the talky scenes, for want of a better word. So like dialogue and mystery and that. And I really, really enjoyed it. And it did wrap up nicely as an arc, but also left you wanting to read the next book, which is called, I think it's Outer World or Off World. One sec. Yeah, so the next arc is called Off World. and this arc is called Los Angeles. So, and guess where this one takes place? So I'm assuming that in the next arc they're actually going to go off-world.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. The stories are good. It's nice to see a different sort of Blade Runner. So it's nice to see a different sort of agent working for the LAPD, and she is very different to anything that you see in the film, any of them. And there's a lot more to her than at first you would realise. As it goes on through the story, you actually get almost not a character study, but you do get, in 4 issues, they've managed to contain a lot of details, including Ash's backstory, the mum and the daughter, an idea of this different part of Los Angeles society. So it feels like I didn't realise it was 4 issues. I actually thought it was 6 issues. It's only when I got it back open and read the fine print that I realised, oh, it's only 4, because it felt like there's a lot more to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it certainly does.
So yeah, definitely want to keep reading it. It's something that I am enjoying. I do like the style, and the whole Blade Runner universe is one of my favourite things. I'm a big Philip K. Dick fan as well. I kind of wish that, even though it is based on the film, which is very different to the book, I kind of wish there was a bit more like subtle links to the books in it. But
yeah,
that's just me being Philip K. Dick fan. Yeah. Any questions or anything?
So one thing I remember you raised last time was to do with the cover of issue 1. You said you reckoned that the shadow in the background of it was one of the characters from the film. Did that transpire?
I'm trying to remember which cover that was now.
See, this is where people curse me for having a good memory.
Yeah, it is.
I'm cursing you.
Oh, I know which cover you were on about. It doesn't get resolved at all. I know which cover you're on about. It's the one with, I can't remember her name, the replicant who was working for Tyrell. Yeah, she doesn't appear at all, which was disappointing.
So it's more just a nice thing that they've stuck on the cover. Okay.
Yeah, to link it to the film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless it's not meant, because there's one character who has a similar hairstyle later on, so could have that silhouette. But the whole pose with the cigarette, that's very much her pose from a lot of the film stuff. So yeah, I kind of it's more of a link to the film than a link to what actually going on in the story.
Okay.
But yeah, which is a little disappointing. But,
so if like me, people have never managed to stay awake through Blade Runner, would it appeal? No, sorry. Caveat to that is I've only ever tried watching it ridiculously late at night.
Okay.
It's only been a couple of 3 times, and it's always been like one of the extended editions as well.
And I've never seen Blade Runner.
So we're just losing points in Amy's eyes. You realise?
However, which probably is going to lose me even more points. I have seen the new Blade Runner.
What, 2049?
Yeah.
I haven't.
Yeah.
How have you seen 2049 and not the original Blade Runner?
I was on a plane going on holiday, but that's not what you mean, is it?
Just why?
Because.
If you want a sci-fi adventure story, yeah, you know like the rough premise of Blade Runner, which most people do, yeah, you could happily read it and quite enjoy it. But I think you would lose something in it, and I would recommend going and watching the film, because seriously, it's a classic. You should have watched it by now. But
that's me told.
Both of you told. The worst thing is, Sam, I watch it like at least twice a year.
Yeah, at like 11 o'clock at night.
Because that's the best time to watch it.
And I am now getting old.
Yes, it is the best time. I've tried watching it during like the daylight hours, and it just doesn't feel right. It feels like a late night movie when it's cold outside and rainy. It's got to be rainy.
Could you not close curtains? Just a thought.
It's not the same.
And turn a tap on. That'll give you the rain effect.
Yeah. You can get apps.
I'm glad the pair of you are going away at the weekend.
Otherwise, I'll get a feeling my car's gonna have a bomb in it.
Yeah, we're gonna hit the motor. It's like you can't slow down. Speed 3.
What is nice, I will mention that it is dedicated to Rutger. Yeah, I can't pronounce that. It is dedicated to him who died in July. So that was quite a nice thing to see in the trade, it being dedicated to him, because his speech is awesome. See, that's the thing. You've missed so much.
To be fair, which is part of the reason why I've never watched it all. I've seen enough of it that makes sense. I've seen quite a large chunk of the beginning, quite a large chunk of the middle, and quite a large chunk of the end, which is probably part of the reason why I keep thinking I've seen it and then realise I haven't seen it. So I've seen the big speech scene and all the rest of it. I will go and watch it one day, but I think it's one of them things where I get automatically a little bit. People go, "What do you mean you haven't seen it? You need to go and see it." And I go, "You ain't the boss of me."
Yeah, your hackles just come up.
So automatically that then means that's another 6 months on now, where I go until that dies down, and I go, okay, maybe I'll give it a watch. Then I'll have another conversation with someone, and the same thing happens again. It's a definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Or I'm a replicant.
Yeah. How do you know you're not a replicant?
I haven't got a beard.
Not all replicants have beards.
My replicant would.
Sorry, I was just about to say yes, you have, and then I realised I was looking at the image of you on Skype.
Which technically isn't me. Technically,
I was about to say
as a character from my book.
I know.
I know, but I just saw it and I thought, I know it's Napoleon Stone, but I still thought it was you.
Technically, it's me cosplaying as one of my own characters. God, this has gone really off the rails.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what? We're going to move on now.
Yeah, your turn.
So, I have been reading recently Shades of Magic, Volume 2, which is we reviewed the Steel Prince Volume 1 back in episode 5. Which was probably longer ago than it feels like it should have been by now. But yeah, I remember we all sort of enjoyed it. We had issues with it, but this is the second volume in that series, and it's prequel to and obviously based on the same worlds as V.E. Schwab's novels. I'm trying to think of the right genre for it. It's kind of urban fantasy, but also it's not modern day urban fantasy, but it's urban fantasy, I would say. And it's set in a world where there's sort of 4 realities, which used to be, people used to be able to cross between them, and walls went up for various reasons. And this is focusing on sort of one of those worlds where there is various magics that people can use from. Everyone is tied to an individual sort of element, whether that be metal or fire or water or bone, as we discovered last volume, or as I have recently discovered, and this is probably something that exists in the novels anyway, there are people called Antari who are able to use all the different varieties of magic, so they're particularly powerful. So this volume is it's written by V.E. Schwab, or Victoria Schwab, with art by Budi Setiawan. There are 2 inkers. So inkers for issue 1 was Budi Setiawan, and for 2 to 4 it's Andrea Olimpieri, who I believe was the inker on the first volume as well. The colorist is Enrica, Eren, Angiolini, The colour assists are by Viviana Spinelli, and the lettering is by Rob Steen. So this volume, it's a 4-issue collection, again, same as the first one was. And in this sort of a chapter of the Steel Prince's life, Maxim Maresh, who, as we'll recall from last volume, has been sent by his father, who's the king of London and the sort of the general area, to this sort of outland port where things are a bit more often ready to sort of learn his role as both a warrior and a leader. Because he's sort of seen as this spoilt brat kind of princeling. And in this issue, he's essentially, it follows directly on from the previous volume, and I will get to the blurb now, actually, because that's going to sum it up better than I can. So this is the young and arrogant Prince Maxim Maresh, having faced the terror of the Pirate Queen, now aims to capture the respect of the combative port town of Varos by taking the impossible challenges of the Knight of Knives and surviving where none has survived before. These are the hidden secret adventures of Maxim from long before he became King of Red London and adoptive father to Kell, the lead of a darker shade of magic. A darker shade of magic obviously being the novel series. So this is, as that says, basically Maxim, he's trying to get the respect of the warriors he's commanding. They still see him as a spoiled kind of Londoner, effectively, who's just there almost for the thrill of it and because he's royalty. The volume starts with a magic user and his thug friends who are out to basically kill as many of the royal guard and, if possible, Maxim himself as they can, for reasons which I'm not going to go into. Essentially Maxim decides to put himself up as bait. A couple of his guards go with him and events ensue. As a result of that, he feels he should have been given a lot more respect than he has been, has a little temper tantrum sulk, and is introduced to the concept of the Knight of Knives, which is something that happens in Varos, where essentially you enter yourself into this contest, in inverted commas, where there are 4 doors, you go through them, you have to face different aspects, different challenges, and come out the top. And it transpires that no one has ever survived all 4. So last volume we were introduced to Isra, who is a royal guard who becomes almost like a bit of a mentor to Maxim, and was probably my favourite character actually in the first volume. And she's the one who says she's basically done 2 of the gates and stopped before going into the 3rd. And most people, that's as far as they get, because the kind of challenges that are in. And I don't want to go too much into what the challenges are, because I think it kind of takes something from the story, knowing what's coming. So she's done 2 of the events, and she sort of mentions it to him. He's then encouraged by some of the other guards to participate against Isra's advice. Why she wouldn't mention it to him in the first place if she doesn't want him to do it is, plot. But yeah, it's really good. It's a nice little sort of adventure. It's a nice little sort of set of challenges that he has to face. The one thing I would say, and I'm not sure if it's the writing or the artwork, by which I mean the line art rather than sort of the inking and the colouring, I found some of the challenges a little bit difficult to follow. I could see what was going on, but I found sometimes, I think we mentioned this last issue with the flow of the action. I found a little bit disjointed. And as I say, I'm not sure if it's the writing of it or if it's the general sort of the basis of the artwork and the layouts. But yeah, there were times when I had to look back over the page and kind of try and piece together what had happened myself. Having said that, I do love the artwork itself, like the character designs, the art designs, and the way the panels look individually are stunning. And that comes from the line art through the inks, which are really heavy in this, because again, it's very much set at night, as the name suggests, but it's very dark. The inks are very heavy, and Enrica's done a great job again with light, and sort of plucking out the kind of the magic effects and giving them their own colours. So even though I'd not remembered quite so much about how Maxim's metal magic was kind of the orangey tone and stuff, as soon as I saw again it came to mind. I knew every time I saw that orange glow, that's what was happening, and the water was kind of the blue glow and so on and so forth. So again, the artwork is superb. It's just at times I did find the action hard to follow. Excuse me. Not so much in the quieter scenes, that they flowed quite nicely. It was more in the action. And again, I'm not sure if that comes from the writing and the panel descriptions of what was being drawn, or whether it was the actual art itself, but there was something disjointed about it. But it wasn't enough to make me stop enjoying it. And the more I'm reading of this comic series, the more I kind of want to get to a point where I feel, actually, you know what, I want to try out the novels now. But I don't want to do that until I've got a little bit more of this background, because I feel it will kind of put me in an advantage when I start reading the novels, because having this backstory is, for me, because I'm a bit of a a details nerd, so being able to go in and kind of be introduced to a character and actually know where they've come from is going to be invaluable. So I want to get a couple more volumes of this out of the way. I don't know how long they're intending to do the series for, but I want to get at least 2 more volumes so I can understand the origins of Maxim at least before I delve into the novels. But it's certainly a series I would want to get into, and a lot of that is because of the design that's gone into it, and it feels like a kind of like Renaissance era fantasy world that feels a bit different to most things that I've read and seen before. So yeah, it's a world I want to know more about. So I will be at some point jumping onto the novels for sure.
Cool, because that was the thing I was going to ask, was whether or not it gave you like a desire to check out the novels, or whether or not you were quite happy just reading the comics.
Yeah, I mean, I would be just happy reading the comics, but because I know there are novels out there, and both this volume and the first volume as well, they've drawn me into that world a bit.
Yeah.
It is a series that at some point I do want to check out, and it's something I've done before, where like with like The Witcher, I played the games and then jumped into the novels, and it works really well sometimes to have that kind of little bit of sort of knowledge about the world before you read where the world was created, if you know what I mean. It kind of lends a little something to it. I don't quite know how to describe it, but in my head, the characters will, and the designs will be what's in the comic. I think it's just a really nice looking comic. And yeah, I definitely want to read the next volume as well. So it's so the issues I had with it with the flow are not enough to put me off at all.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Cool.
Okay, I think that's everything. So where are you and Anthony this week then, Barry?
Me and Anthony will be manning my table. Wearing my creator's hat, which I've just thrown on, which is Unseen Shadows. So we will be in the Comicsology Originals Hall, and we will be on table 118. You won't be able to miss us, because we'll be next to Yomi and Corey, who are doing the Clockwork Watch stuff, and Jenny Glubad. I'm sure I've said her name wrong. And we will be so we will be the raucous ones at the end of our row.
You'll be the ones causing trouble.
We will be the ones causing trouble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, hopefully this will go up in time. On the 7th, so the day before Thought Bubble starts, is Anthony's 40th birthday. So feel free, everyone, tweet at Wedgestock and wish him a happy birthday. Make him feel old. Also, any geeky ideas for his midlife crisis would be appreciated.
Also, rather than doing that, if you want, just come over to the table and buy something. That would be even better.
Do that as well. Just
also just mentioning, because we just mentioned Shades of Magic, so Enrica Angiolini, who is the colorist of the Shades of Magic series, as well as Doctor Who and various other things, will also be at Thought Bubble. She's in the Comicsology Hall on table 187, so do check out her stuff, because she is fantastic. Not only a fantastic colorist, but she's a great artist as well, and she's got some lovely prints and key rings and stuff for people to pick up as well, so do check her out while you're there.
Cool. Also, Matt Gibbs and Sara Dunkerton, I'm not sure about Jim, they'll both be at Thought Bubble as well.
If you haven't guessed, I am the only one not at Thought Bubble. But yeah. So
you'll be missed.
I'm really disappointed I'm missing it this year because it looks like it's going to be lots of fun. But anyway.
It does look massive this year, to be fair. Harrogate Convention Hall looks blooming massive.
Yeah, I haven't seen the convention hall to see what it looks like on the inside. I keep meaning to look. Is it quite big then?
Well, I mean, there's 3 halls booked out, and you look at the number of tables like in our hall, and it's the same in the other 2 as well, pretty much by the looks of it. So yeah, it's just it's going to be a big old event.
Yeah. So I imagine if we find time, which we will do, I'm sure, in the hotel room, we'll do a little record of our thoughts of football, because it is, it is one of the biggest, certainly indie comic events in the old geek calendar. So we should do a little bit of reporting.
Yeah, think back to 2008 when we first went. It was like what football was first or second year or something.
Second year.
And it was. I mean, it was good. It was always good, but I mean, it's just grown phenomenally since then.
Yeah, it's stupid now, size wise.
I mean, good stupid, but
yeah.
On that note, let's leave it. We'll say bye to you all, and we will see you again soon. Well, we will speak to you, and you will listen again soon, hopefully.
You will listen. Oh, sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Okay. Right. Bye, everyone. You two gonna say bye?
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
I thought Ant was going first. That was.
I never go first.
No, that's true.
True. Age before beauty, Barry. Or whatever.
I haven't. It's all right. I don't have a snappy comeback. I'll wait until I see you.
Wait till after I've driven you to Thought Bubble and back again. And then go right out with it.
Then hit you with a snappy comeback. And then boom, and then slam my door shut.
Yeah. After we've unloaded the car.
Yeah. And a cup of tea, probably.
And a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I'm wowed.
Yeah. Then I'll throw insults at you, probably as you're driving away. Or I'll ring you on your drive. People don't need to know this. People don't need to know this.
They don't need to know how we roll.
No. Slowly, apparently.
Yeah. We can't even sign off.
No.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, no, that's the wrong button.